Welcome, everyone. My name is Susan Allan, and I am thrilled to have you with us today. This is the show I've been waiting for. About 2 years ago, the really remarkable Ivory Sully was my guest, and I have wanted to have Ivory back with us. And welcome, Ivory.
Susan, it's always a pleasure to be with you and to help enlighten people as to the magnificent value of what we are, what we're part of. I just feel blessed that there's this solution to some problems, and it's great. Thank you for having me.
Perfect. Solutions. You know, that is my literally middle name. And this show is about no pain, great brain. That's what this show is about, because Ivory Sully is an NFL legend, a Super Bowl legend. He played with the Rams. He played with the Lions. He played with the Buccaneers. He was in the Super Bowl. He got the ring. And I'm telling you, he needed to have no pain and improve his brain. And Ivory's going to talk to you about what it was like being called Mr. Hit, because in those days, we're talking about brutality on the field. Right, Ivory?
Yes, I would definitely have to say that back then, it was a different game than it is now. Fortunately, the NFL is tracking people that have hits to their head and their brain, and they have a tent in the back of every sideline in the NFL for treating severe blows. Whereas back when I played, the trainer would tell you, go sit down, get a drink of freaking water, and get ready to go the next daggone play. And we did. And I'm going to tell you, this is one thing that it's really crazy. You get knocked out. A guy gets knocked out, and this has happened to me as well as several of my other peers. You get knocked out, you get taken to the sideline, you come back smelling salts, you're back out on the field, and you really are in the condition of still being knocked out. But you're just playing off of a rote set of physical activity. That's just what I'm used to doing. And so it's wild what we've come from, and fortunately where the game is going.
Oh, you know, when you talk to me about this, it just really stuns me, because I was always the non-athletic. I was a cheerleader because I couldn't do any sports, really.
That's athletic.
Very, bubbly, but couldn't hit a ball. Or, if you'd been behind my shoulder, I couldn't have hit the ball. So when you talk about this, and I was able to become an athlete because of Lifewave. I was able to become a really good swimmer doing 44 laps, 50, 60 laps a day. At one point, I was even doing 84 laps each day because I had more time. And this is all because of the copper peptides that change our body back to an earlier state. And that's what the body needs as it ages, is copper peptides. And Lifewave's inventor, David Schmidt, found a way to do it. He found a way. And if you watched my last show from a month ago with Dr. John Harmon, he just wrote the book about de-aging with copper peptides. You want that book. Today, Ivory Sully is talking about the results, and I'm talking about the results. But the show last month is how it works, why it works, and it's not our imagination. It's based on science, and it's been proven now for 20 years. This company's been in business for 20 years. Okay, Ivory, talk to us about the pain journey you've been on, and so many of your friends have been on, and what you've seen as a difference.
Yeah, I mean, the NFL is a different type of an animal. There are other types of professions that people have ice hockey players, that's a physical game. Even soccer players hitting the ball in your head that many times. It's that, people don't look at that, but that is a concussive situation. And then you've got guys that are in the military that have, that wear these helmets and they to protect them, but they go through trauma in training and getting ready to, perform things that are going to be, for them to protect us in our country here, and there's a lot of situations that go on with the brain, the head, the body, whatever you're living with after you're finished is what you got. So the deal is, with regard to football, we all have maladies, we all have physical maladies that we deal with after we've played. I played 9 years in the league. You're going to have some situations going on. So for me, it was my shoulder, my knee, my neck especially, because the neck converted into a problem with headaches. And I would go to bed often, almost every other night, with a headache that I would have based on the fact that my neck was in a certain situation. With that, you take Advil, ibuprofen, and here it comes. And this is the big thing that was in my era of playing the game, we had to be careful about, is over medicating and medicating with whatever it was that we had to take to make sure that we played on Sunday. And trust me, that mentality was absolute, and it happened. And I wasn't really a proponent of that, but I did fall in when I needed to fall in, and I had to take something to get on the field, because you don't get paid unless you're on the field. And especially, with the way things are even today, they want to get the best out of their investment, the owners that they have, and they want you to get your butt out there and play because you're getting paid for sure. Well, back then I had the thought process of really not wanting to get overwrought with medicine, because I'd seen medicine be a very addictive situation for many of my teammates, many of my cohorts, and fellow football players. You really had to be careful about getting addicted, because
and on top of that, steroids, rage. That's how my second marriage ended. When he came home and said to my own personal trainer, I pressed 600 pounds with my legs, but I can only do it because what I'm taking, I knew that I had to start packing.
There you go.
Sad but true. He went into rages and I was out the door. Yeah. So much danger before you knew about Lifewave.
There you go. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. That was the culture. It was like the thing that you hid strategically. You didn't want everybody to know, and you certainly didn't want your team to know. But people were on programs to hide it. But they took whatever they needed to take, the steroids and stuff like that. Look, it gets really testy. I was the biggest proponent for finding a natural way to protect my body or to make my body start to feel good. So I've done a lot of holistic type of things, okay, that, through the years that, people come to me and say, try this. And well, of course I say, try it. Did some of them make the cut for helping me a little bit? Yes, a few did. But when I got involved with X49 and X39, it's a different level. Okay. And the reason why is because, first of all, it's non-invasive. And this is what I love about it. It's a patch. I was always wondering about seeing these patches, like on Tom Brady, on the Williams sisters, the tennis players. They would wear these patches. And I'm saying, I wonder what the heck they're wearing those patches for. And these patches are freaking remarkable. Because my biggest problem was that with all the situations that I had going on with my body was sleep. I didn't get any freaking sleep. No quality sleep. You have to have sleep to recuperate. You have to change the situation in your body, okay? I wasn't sleeping. That, my friends, was the first thing that I noticed, and it came in a rapid pace. It came very fast. I was so thrilled that I was sleeping through the night, and I was praising. I was like, oh my God, it's so good to wake up fresh. You know what fresh is, right? Fresh is something that I didn't know what it was for years. And to do that was great. Second thing, my neck. My neck stopped doing the tirade that it was doing, bringing a headache all the way through the back of my head to my forehead and stuff like that. Look, this is real stuff. I don't have to be telling you guys lies about this. This is just the reality of it, okay? The situation was, within another 2 weeks, I looked up and I said, I haven't had a headache for about 2 weeks. And it all came just kind of naturally, which is the exact formula that I wanted to use, seeing what medicinal solutions didn't give me. This gave me a reaction, a positive reaction, and I didn't have to put my health in danger. So that's really the thesis of why I am sitting here talking to you all right now. This is the reason why I'm motivated to spread this situation to people that might not know. And, or you might have had some situations where you've been in a car accident, you've wrecked your bicycle and you fell off, or something's happened where you've had a traumatic brain injury and you really don't know what that brain injury is all about. I'm just going to tell you, I have had multiple TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, and I can still put together a salient conversation at the age of 66. So I'm thinking I'm ahead of the game. I know guys that really have to fight and actually think about the words to put together to have a conversation. And these are people that I played with, I looked up to, and it's really sobering. I'll just say that.
And I saw an amazing change in my brain speed when I started using the X39. I've always done the New York Times crossword puzzle since I was a child with my family. So it wasn't that was so impressive, but the speed with which I complete them, that became so amazing that I went all the way back and I completed them all to like 2015, though I started, in 2021, I think. So I had all these extra minutes and hours in the day when I could do them because I did them so quickly. What I also saw is that I have friends who are even older than I am, and they regained their ability to remember their large vocabulary that they used to have, and their ability to communicate in a business appropriate fashion, which is totally different from chatting. Now, Ivory, you're involved now in your third, we could say, business, because you're now working with Pelle Pelle, which is a fabulous leather company. They do amazing, amazing clothes. Go look at the website. And so this means you've got to be at the top of your game in business. So you're seeing a change in that too, right?
100%, especially when you spoke of putting salient sentences together that actually make sense, okay? And let me just tell you, I've been in intellectual property for a long time, and there was a period where I would be forgetful of the freaking words that I had easily remembered for my whole entire life. And I would just spit them out, and it would it's just natural. But I'd be fighting for the words and what the heck I'm saying during a conversation. Well, I'll tell you, that's back now. It's like I always said, I used to be a smart guy. I used to have a really good vocabulary. I don't know what happened to it. And I really did. That really did have that transition period. Well, I will say that I have experienced the recovery of my vocabulary. And so that really gives me confidence, you know? And when it gives you confidence, it makes you feel good. And it's a better quality of life. Absolutely.
And I must remind you, Ivory, because we talked about this when you did my earlier show. I have a neighbor who's a friend. I saw amazing improvements when she started using the X39 and the Eon, and all of her body pain went away. And she was much more alert and much more cheerful. And she was still having trouble remembering things like her own age. That's a little scary, right? And I thought, okay, maybe she just doesn't want to tell me. No, I looked deeply. She didn't remember. So I had her start using the carnosine patch, which is the one that has to do with, you know, healing bruises and bumps, whatever. But it also makes a big improvement in my cognitive function and hers and a lot of other people I've seen. So if, you know, there's nothing more frightening than thinking that there's a brain problem. What could be more frightening? And if you're a professional athlete and your sport is, you know, a violent, invasive sport, and your nickname is Mr. Hit, for heaven's sakes, you know, then this is, in my opinion, and I say in my professional opinion, because I coach a lot of people, this is the way to go. And you see tremendous, tremendous changes in people's ability to get things done.
Yes.
You know, in all areas.
Isn't it crazy? I mean, I'm thinking sometimes, I mean, I know it's part of the aging process and all of that, and I'm fine with that. However, I'm used to operating at a high level, okay? Yeah. And when you do something that used to take you 5 minutes to do, and all of a sudden now it's taking 20, 25 minutes to do, that's frustrating for a high level, thoughtful, get the business done type of a person. That, like, it wrecks me. It just kills me that I can't be efficient.
And you don't ever have to think that way anymore. In fact, one thing I did to challenge my brain, you know, basically, well, how smart have you gotten? How fast have you gotten? You know? So I went to an app that has solitaire, and my intention was to see how fast I could do it, how fast I could clear the board, how fast I could clear the board. Now it became a real functioning speed question for my brain, because my two closest friends are each 20 years younger than I am. And at the moment, our brains are apparently at the same speed, because I see the things they ask me and I see the way they treat me, and people don't fake that. You know, if they see you as, oh, she's over the hill, you know, then that changes the whole relationship. Not only did I clear the board very, very fast in the solitaire game, but I figured out 3 different hacks to clear the board and get a higher score that nobody ever told me. And I was just really amazed. So that was a level of competence and confidence. So if we're talking about no pain and a great brain, that's part of this. But when we're talking about Lifewave, when you're competent, your body's functioning better, your brain is functioning better, you have a level of confidence that's not nonsense. I mean, you've earned it, you deserve it. And so that's what Ivory's talking about, that he started out with an incredible career. I mean, you know, defensive back, 3 of the greatest teams you could possibly be on, the Superbowl, everything. Then he had to come up with his second career in licensing, and I was in licensing for 22 years. It's a big game and a very competitive game. And now he's in his 3rd career, and it just doesn't happen by chance, right?
No.
You got to be like the guy who's in the training room you explaining to me. So in the training room, you said, Susan, they put you back together so you can get, and they basically throw you back out on the field, you know, and your job is to be able to function well enough not to get killed, right? And then come back in and do it all again.
That's right.
Talk about your knees. Let's hear about another specific. Your knees improving thanks to Lifewave.
I can do that, but first I have to just say something. I have to praise Susan, because Susan is not lying about the fact that her cognitive ability is back. I mean, for this thing, I I've never had a 3-page memorandum that is quite like this, and it is so detailed about this show, what this show was going to do. I'm like, look, y'all, that's 3 pages she wrote me, and I'm like, this girl is micro. She's the best. Look at, she's a great micromanager. And that does, obviously that takes brain power, okay? I'll tell you what, to ingest that stuff, you have to have brain power as well. So I was happy about myself that I could actually understand what you were talking about on these 3 pieces of paper. God bless you. Okay, so my knees. Okay, look, y'all. Because I was an athlete, sometimes, well, no, if you're an athlete, your structures, your joints are going to deteriorate. Let me just say that, okay? They just are. They're not going to be like I was at 21 years old and jumping over buildings at a single bound. I mean, I was fearless, for crying out loud. Now it's bone on bone in my left knee. I don't know if you all know what bone on bone is, but it is not a game. It is ridiculously painful. It's arthritic. It comes at times, it fires up in times that you least expect or at least want it. I was in Catalina just a couple of weeks ago, and we're going up the hill to go to our apartment, which we were staying in. And I'm telling you, by the 3rd day, I could barely make it up that hill. And until because I forgot my freaking Aeon, for crying out loud, and I didn't put it on, and I didn't have it. That is a story that I'm going to tell you. And then I get back 3 days later, man, I'm like jogging again. It's like, look, I'm just telling you my experience, okay? You can believe me or not, it really doesn't matter, because I'm just giving you my story, okay? The knee situation is a bone-on-bone situation. And when bone-on-bone comes, all your protein that it gives you that smoothness between your joints is completely, it's been definitely compromised, okay? Let's just say that, greatly compromised. And the creaking and the cracking, and where did this stuff come from, for crying out loud? I'm going to tell you that Aeon saves at least I can feel like I still have the potential to be the athlete that I was, when you don't have any pain and you're walking up a hill or you're riding your bike, okay? That's first and foremost, because I actually, sometimes think I can still do it. And that's all I need. All I need is the thought that I might be able to, do some things, and it'll help me strive to reach out a little bit more each day, until finally, I've put together a nice little workout. So there you go. That's the story about my knee.
And what's so interesting about this concept of bone on bone, right? It's a concept, really, because I've got lots of people I've helped understand which patches to use and when to use them and all the rest of it. And whether they were using the X39 directly on the knee or the hip during the 12 daylight hours, and then taking that off and putting 2 eons in my preferred position, the kissing position, where the 2 patches are touching but not overlapping. And they found that this so-called crisis wasn't a crisis anymore. Then I eliminated excruciating shoulder pain from an injury. 3 chiropractors could not fix me. I had 2 appointments with each, and I already had the patches, but I'd never used them for pain. This was 3 years ago. And I said, I'm not getting up from this chair until I find out something on Telegram, Marcy's group, that's going to answer the question. And it said 2 eons made my something or other pain go away. Okay, cool. I put them on directly over the pain in my shoulder blade in 10 minutes. Now, remember, 6 appointments with chiropractors. 10 minutes, I relaxed because the pain was gone. But here's the crazy thing. It never came back. Now, I'm not foolish, so I used 2 eons in that position every day for 12 hours for a couple of days, and I put the X39 at night on that place. But what I'm saying is something was fixed because it never came back. And that is remarkable. So it's not, we're not imagining this. It's not magic. It's not a wand of some sort. It's real. And it's incredible. And Patty de Blasio, the medical doctor, who's been my guest twice, when she was diagnosed with MS, which is no fun thing to hear, I'm sure, she discovered that with Lifewave IceWave patches, which is a 2-patch system, she follows the instructions for whole body healing with IceWave. She puts one on the shoulder on the left side, one on the shoulder on the right side, one on the bottom of the foot on the left foot, one on the bottom of the right foot. And make sure you read the instructions so you know whether it's the white one on your shoulder or the brown one on your shoulder. And if you want to email me, you can have the 14 pain relief protocols that I share with people, and the all patch poster that a lot of people don't have, and the incredible 1.5 pages of all the things that used to be wrong with me that are now fine. I don't even remember them. So if you want that, email me at susan@susanallan.org. And then that's ALLAN. Okay.
You better, hey, you better do that. You better do that. It's remarkable. It's fantastic. It shows you how to wear and utilize the patches to the maximum. Okay, that really is what it is. And please do that, because that's a gift from Susan. The other thing is, it's about the quality. It's not about the fact that you're living. It's about your quality of your living. Look, man, I'm not into getting into a wheelchair, brothers and sisters. Ain't going to be, that's not in my plan, okay? My plan is to be active, travel, go do things, and still play golf, swing a tennis racket once in a while, But look, it's the quality of your life that's important.
And what's so extraordinary to me is, as you said, Ivory, it's really important to be patient when you're looking for results. And so you're going to talk about that in a moment. And when you're patient, we're talking about cumulative shifts, remarkable cumulative shifts that get better and better. So what did you see in terms of needing to be patient yourself?
Well, being a person of immediate results, okay? You win and you lose, and it happens in a second. It's my makeup. It's who I am. I want a response. I want an answer quick. And I want to do it now. And the problem is, you can't be like that. You just can't be. Let's be realistic about this, okay? It took a whole heck of a lot longer to screw me up than freaking a second to get it right again, okay? And so I just had to adopt. I had to adopt the thesis of just being patient and give it a chance and let it do its thing, okay? What we're talking about is the polypeptides that you regenerated, and you literally, it's really a fountain of youth is what it is. That's the thing that caught my ear and caught my eye, is to say, wow, we can really, I think that we can really reverse this situation here and what's going on. And I know what's going on with my knee, that the cartilaginous material is reinvigorated, and it's also redeveloping. And because it doesn't crack half as much as it used to, for crying out loud. And it's like, it was wild. But patience is essential.
I was in a car accident, which you mentioned, so thank you for reminding me. And I didn't have any major injuries, but I could hear one of my vertebrae moving, and it's a creepy feeling. I mean, really creepy. So I had a couple of choices of what to do about it. So I just did my X39, 12 hours, right where I felt that movement, where the crack was. And then when I was sleeping, I would put 1 or 2 of the Eon on. Now I had 0 pain, except I'm smart, so I know there's something's not right. If I move and I hear a crack in my back, that's not good. What was really fascinating, because it took patience, Ivory, is at first, like about a week or 2 later, it didn't happen as much. Then a couple of weeks later, I hardly ever heard it crackling. And then finally it was, oh, I haven't heard that in a long time. So what you knew is that something was being fixed in a way that was good versus what had been unfixed when my car slammed into another car. And it is a remarkable thing to know that in my drawer, I have the means to solve all of these problems, as I hope does every single one of you. You know, I hope every one of you have and use these solutions the way that Ivory and I do. My goodness. So let's talk about anti-aging, because there are other parts, Ivory. There's, you get more sleep, so that means you wake up feeling like a different guy, right?
Oh, what a godsend. I'm telling you, how many of you out there, don't sleep well? How many of you are there? I mean, because, how many of you felt the difference when you started putting the patches on? How many of you felt that there was a change in your sleep pattern, that you actually were getting it? You know what I mean? And, you actually feel like, hey, I feel better today. I feel younger today. My words are coming to me so much easier than me struggling through a presentation of what I'm trying to say, for crying out loud. It's amazing. And so, I just feel blessed. I've got to be honest with you. Just something just came over me, excuse me. Something entered my brain that it's a blessing to be able to have this opportunity to regenerate these maladies that exist with me. I can't tell you that, and it's been years since I have had any neck pain or a headache. Not maybe a couple, 6 no, zero headaches. And these were those ones that creep, like I've told you before, creep from the back of your head to the front of your brain. I mean, it's like it brings you to your knees, and you just want to just not do anything to disturb it getting better. Well, guess what? I haven't had one of them, not one, since I started experiencing this miracle. It's a miracle to me.
It is absolutely a miracle. And when you spoke about answered prayer, I actually was introduced to Lifewave after I prayed, asking for a solution to solve the typical aging process, which was not for me. I said to God, it's not for me. I don't want any part of it. I don't like the alternative to aging. I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to look that way. Send me a miracle. I literally said. And within 48 hours, my friend Carol Lazar, God bless her, called me and said, I found something you need to hear about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I said, what is it? And she ran over. Now, the first thing is, she looked like a different person, and she's about 3 years older than me. She looked like a different person. She was glowing. Now, most of us who've been using Lifewave products for a while will tell you, you're glowing. There's a glow. I don't know why. I guess it's copper peptides, because that's what Dr. John Harmon says. It's a total different thing.
Mm-hmm.
So literally I prayed, and literally I got an answered prayer, and literally the prayer was Lifewave. And the inventor, David Schmidt, talks about that all the time. He's a very devout person. He's, all about God and all about helping humanity. He does so many wonderful generous things with people. So not a coincidence, Ivory, that you are also prayerful.
You know what?
Cooking.
Us just talking about this, you made me think of, and I'm going to be looking back to some of my Tampa Bay buddies and seeing if I can. You just made me think of this guy, my teammate that played with me at Tampa, and I truly can't remember, what his name is right at this point, but I'm actually going to be calling a couple of my teammates. This guy I played with, and I was on the kickoff return team, and I was right beside him when he broke his neck.
Oh.
Okay, like literally broke his neck. I mean, I saw his career end, and I saw the circle he was wearing with the things to keep his head stabilized. So, I mean, these are back in those days now. I mean, this stuff really happened, it's like not a game. And so, I need to get with this guy and see how he's doing, because I know that I've got something that can help him. So thank you very much for, I don't know what it was, but gosh, I got to get to, and I'll remember his name in a second. It'll come to me. It will come to me, but God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.
And every single one of your former teammates on the Rams, on the Lions, on the Buccaneers, and every single person who's ever played football since then or before then will literally thank God if you tell them about Lifewave.
Yeah. There's a reason why Tom Brady played as long as he did. Let me tell you something. He had a secret, and this was it. He had X39. I'm telling you. So, hey,
absolutely.
Good enough for him, good enough for me.
Absolutely. And now let's talk about X49, which, was only added a couple of years ago. You use it every day. I use it every day. And what I noticed was that it gave me energy in the afternoon far more than I had before. And so even if I was going to swim my 30 minutes or 40 minutes, I could go back to work. And that's a real blessing for me, because it's interesting. I said to Marcy on one of the earlier shows something that she didn't know. If you have enough energy, you don't feel depressed.
That's right.
This is really crucial for people as they get older, because people as they get older tend to have no copper peptides, as again, John Harmon's book carefully points out. And so if you get the copper peptides going for them again with X39 and X49,
X49
energy. So tell me what you, as a professional athlete at the highest level of elite athletes, what have you seen about recovery from workouts with that?
Okay, first of all, X49 miracle is just fantastic. And I'm talking to all you people out there. You know who you are when you take that afternoon nappy. Don't even lie to me about it, because I know you do. All right. So when I started taking the X49, I didn't need to take my afternoon nappy. That's what happens after you get over 60 years old, right? And so, but I, in taking this, instead of that, I go to the gym, and I can utilize that time to get my freaking body in shape and lose this pregnancy that I got in my stomach, for crying out loud, because I haven't been doing it. I've been sleeping with my nappy. So come on, you guys know what I'm talking about. You know I'm talking about you. Don't even lie to yourself. All right. So that is, the energy is always the thing that it kind of made me be who I am. I had energy. Let's just say that I was the captain of one of the captains on the team, and I was the captain of the special teams with the Rams, and I was a leader. I was a guy that had a voice, and that voice came through my energy. If you take a nap in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, that's not a leader to me. I'm sorry, it just isn't. It just isn't. So, with the X49, I can just simply say, there is a compelling difference of the fact that I can do things the whole day still at 66. Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And What's extraordinary is the scientific proof to me that even people over 70, when they use the X49, their recovery after sports, after a workout, is remarkable. So it's not just if somebody's in their 20s, 30s, 40s. It's that people literally, David tested people in their 70s as well. Because one of the things about the Lifewave inventor, David Schmidt, is that he is completely focused on longevity. The human being was designed to live 120 years. David is living in that reality of what can he develop for all of us so that we too can have that opportunity if we choose to.
Right.
And one thing I'm noticing, because you're talking about not taking a nap. Well, I've never taken naps. However, I would just relax at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Now, if I want to, I can start relaxing at 8 o'clock, you know? But I am up at 7 in the morning. And my entire life from the time I was in kindergarten, I would wake up when I had to. My mother had this huge upset with me when I was like in 9th or 10th grade, and it was a vacation. I wanted to sleep till 10 a.m. She came knocking on my door. Oh my God. So I always loved to sleep late. Now I don't need it. That's huge. That's the first time in my life that I've been able to enjoy 6 hours sleep, because the sleep is deep sleep, as you said, Ivory, because we're talking about X39. It's a deep sleep. With X49, you're exercising more, you're doing more reps, you're doing more workout, whatever it is. And so you're more tired when it's time to go to sleep.
Let me explain to you. Let me explain to people about what it's like for when you work out. And this is I'm sure there's a lot of people here that understand recovery. Recovery as you age, it definitely slows. Okay, and you don't have the recoverability within your musculature to bring back, to take advantage of what you've just, spent 2 hours trying to activate. You just don't have the same results, that you would were you to be, 20, 25, even 40, 45, 50. You don't recover. Recovery is the most important aspect of working out. If you don't recover, don't work out, because you're just going to end up, laid up, sore, not doing anything. Muscles aren't going to get any stronger. Look, the X49, for you getting up, being able to accomplish your workouts, and then not only for you to accomplish your workouts, but then for you to get the rest after you've done it so that you can recover fully. That is the deal. That's what you're doing. That's what it's all about. And so for me, who has that athletic psychology within me, I'm looking for training and how to train to actually stay ahead of it. Look, man, I'm 66 years old, and I'm not suffering too badly here with my body, okay? I'm doing pretty good. I'll be honest with you. And I will tell you that I do blame those freaking patches for keeping me like this. Thank you, Lord. All right, sorry, but that's just the truth. All right.
It is absolutely the truth. And by the way, for those of you who haven't watched my interview with Jim Terrell, the 4-time Olympian, who's a paddler and owns a paddle company, he was on my show like my year and a half, something like that ago. He was about to go on a 400-mile canoe trip in the middle of Canada. I said, oh, well, I'd love to watch it. Let me stream it. Oh, no, it's in the middle of the wilderness. There's no streaming. There's no Wi-Fi. And I'm thinking his wife is like, okay with this, and he's not a young guy. He's not a young guy. I don't want to misspeak about his age. I'll just say he's not a young guy. He's over 40 something, maybe older than that. He did better than anyone in his big canoe because of Lifewave. he told me after the show when he came back, because I checked in. I mean, I wanted to make sure he really made it 400 miles, right? He said other people were coming down with COVID like crazy. They were dropping like flies. He and his friends were all fine. And he said, there's no question, Lifewave. And so he had a lot of patches with him. He was making sure his teammates were patched. It was a whole different, it's a different world, right?
Fantastic. Love hearing stuff like that. Love hearing stuff like that.
And that's for each one of us, whatever, you know, whatever your level of physical activity is, whatever your level of mental activity is, I'm here to tell you, and Ivory Sully, more important, is here to tell you, raise the bar. As I say, this is not limbo. You're not looking to see how low you can go. You got to raise the bar.
The greatest, yeah, right.
How athletic, please.
The greatest feeling is that day that you go into the gym and you got a little skip in your jump. You know what I mean? Where you've been like plateaued for such a long time, you're plateaued, and then you get this little boop, and it's that boop that gets you back there, and it's the boop that keeps you up there, and you will then change that plateau to a higher grade. And the bottom line is you've got to give your body a chance. Alone, you will not recover like you used to when you were younger. You just don't. It's not there within you, okay? However, the polypeptide, the champion polypeptide formula works to regenerate that energy. That's what it's there for. That's why I take it. I don't want to be sleeping all the time. Please don't put me to sleep. I don't want to be in front of the television all the time. I want to go out and get to the freaking gym. I want to get on my bicycle and go ride 50 miles. I want to do this stuff. I'm motivated to do that. I also know what it feels like not to want to do it. And have your mind, and their mind is in that space because you just don't have it, what you need to accomplish it. Please give it a try.
We're so blessed, but we're so amazingly lucky to be alive at this time in history.
Yeah.
Because you have a young daughter, you have an older daughter, a young daughter. And
Yeah.
my father was 51 when I was born. So that's part of why I never was athletic, because I didn't have a dad who was taking me to do any sports, and I went to camp and all that. But if my father had had copper peptides, he used to be a basketball player.
Mhm.
He used to be a long distance runner,
Mhm.
but he didn't do any of that when I saw him.
Yeah.
Because 50 is old without copper peptides activated. And we
Yeah.
know what happens
Yeah.
to the body.
Absolutely.
So you're part of a generation, Ivory, that is blowing the lid off of what it means to be 60 plus.
66 years old, an
But
11,
not anymore.
an 11-year-old and a 17-year-old. Okay. So you can either call me crazy or I'm just happy because I can. It's because I can. And you know what? I'm so glad that I ran into the X39, X49. That Lifewave is remarkable. Remarkable.
That's such an important thing, because you ran into Marcy at an event.
Yeah.
And she always, of course, has them with her. And of course, she gave them to you so you could try them. And, that makes such a difference. I'm having an afternoon tomorrow with someone brand new who I just met in another way, who is a geriatric specialist. That means old. So, of course, what am I going to be discussing with her? That we don't have to be old. You can be a specialist in gerontology and geriatrics and all the rest of it, but you don't have to do that yourself. And you can give people an opportunity that they probably haven't heard of.
It's really wild. Yeah. That's really wild, because that's how me and Marcy met. We met at another holistic type of healing type of a thing I used to be part of. And I'm telling you, I am so glad, because I'll tell you, anybody comes to me and they say, you got to try this. I'm not the easiest guy to say okay. I really am not, because it has to make sense to me, and I'm not looking for miracles. However, miracles with LifeWave are happening on my body, and so that's why I'm excited. I'm not the guy that's going to give you a story and, for crying out loud, I'm going to make it all fit and make it look really neat and really cool. No, dude, this crap works, okay? This patch works. Don't fool yourself to thinking, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't work holistically. There's a few that do, and I got blessed to have this patch come into my life.
You must have scars from all that, being pushed around. And have you noticed that scars have disappeared or became really, really tiny, like I've seen?
I haven't noticed a scar on my body in such a long time. It's ridiculous. No, I don't. I haven't. I'm sorry. No. Yeah, it works. It works in a lot of different ways. Some that that are just, they come with the deal. Your skin looks better. My wife, she says, "Man, your skin is really soft." And I said, where did that come from? You're talking to a football player. You're telling me my skin's soft? And I said, oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
It gets, your skin gets very silky or very
silky. Exactly.
I've described it both ways.
And this is me. This is my hands. They are soft. They really are. I mean, I don't really associate myself with being soft, but it's what happened. It's what happened. What am I going to say?
And actually, you can put an X39 on the bottom of one of your feet for 12 hours a day for a couple of days in a row, and you'll see a really amazing difference, or at least I did with the other foot, that didn't have the patch on it. Because we're talking about repair. And I had a really horrible tummy tuck scar, a really long one. I mean, it was like this long. And then a couple of months later, I happened to notice it. It's a tiny, tiny invisible line, like a thin line that you don't even see. Well, that was just crazy. But what we're talking about, Ivory and myself, is when you experience these changes yourself, for yourself, either in your body, where you can see them and feel them, in your brain, where it changes everything, when you don't have any pain anymore, you have a quality of life you haven't had in a long time.
Right.
It's a total game changer, right?
Game changer. Game changer. Not a lot changes games for me now. I'm going to tell you, I've been in the games. Look, I wouldn't be here on this show with Susan were it not for there to be actually game-changing results. It game changes. My 17-year-old just walked in. Hi. So anyway.
What else would you like people to know? We have just a few minutes, but you're like golden to me. So your words of wisdom, anything else you'd like to add, I'd be thrilled. Everybody would be thrilled.
It is like you said, it is, I consider it a blessing, and I'm grateful. I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to have this result. These results come from wearing a patch. I mean, and it does sound kind of silly to people that aren't familiar. I would just ask you, or ask anybody that's trying it, just erase any of the preconceived notions that might be in your brain because of your experiences with other things. Give this thing a try. If you do give it a try, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and don't mess with that. Don't think you can get away with 6 hours here, 18 hours there. No, just be even with it. Just 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Be diligent with it, and don't change the rules on it, and watch and see what happens. Okay? What do you have to lose? What you have to lose is all your aches and pains and everything that's holding you back or slowing you down and bringing you down and bringing your energy down. I want to bring my energy up. I want to go ahead and communicate the fact that this is something that will help you. I'm in the business right now in my later days of helping people. This is really what motivates me. There's not a lot that motivates me. I mean, I love helping goods from Pelle Pelle and making great jackets for people to wear. I love having that and having that spread that message. That's also core to who I am. However, the real key for me is to help people, and there are solutions to some of these things that we're talking about. And I am encouraging you to please go give it a try, because it will do nothing but be impressive. It just will.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Ivory. Thank you so much for being my guest. Thank you for sharing all this with everybody. And in about 1 week, this is going to be on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Susan Allan 2001, like the Space Odyssey. And it's ALLAN. And do remember, get with your friend who told you about this show, ask about Lifewave, and for heaven's sakes, purchase an order, because they're refundable if for any reason you want to refund them within 30 days. But more importantly, that's the way you get to experience this. You could sit home and you could read every single thing ever written, but it won't fix 1% of your life. That's the key. And you don't have to believe me, you have to believe Ivory.
Susan, thank you so much. Thank you. First of all, thank you for being so kind to ask me to speak to you and to speak to your contingency and your group. I mean, it's really an honor to be able to serve and to serve you and to serve your people. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And you are much loved by me and my group, believe me, much loved. And we are so grateful to have you with us. And everybody, my next show will be the second Thursday in December, and it's always the same time, 1 o'clock Pacific, 4 o'clock on the East Coast, and various times around the world. And don't forget, you want to see this show. And if you've already emailed me for the 14 pain relief options, for all the other emails I send, then you will be notified when this show is available on YouTube, because I want you to watch it. There's so much that Ivory said. You want to make sure you make notes and you just do what he does. Just do what he does. That's what works. Do what I do. That's what works. So thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday, and I will see all of you in December. Thanks, Ivory.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.